solid, well-composed tracks, a lot of really interesting melodies, and like really cool energy to it. Like that's all, you know.
See, for me, I like to have a mix of both. I have to be like, oh man, I can totally jam out to this, and at the same time, I want to be like, oh my god, please punch me in the face.
Well, you know, sometimes you just put on bands like Trapped Under Ice and you want to punch someone else in the face.
It's just, it's inevitable. You can't stop it. You can't stop the funk.
So.
No, but Zolani, you'd like In Flames. But the point I was trying to say that by bringing that up is I actually, I was reading the lyrics to The Jester Race, which is one of In Flames' classic albums, and I was reading this and I was going, I could make a video game out of this. And I'm just sitting there thinking, it's not necessarily like it tells, a fantasy RPG story or something like that, but I mean, it's just like the images that they're using. I'm just like, I could take these images and put them in a video game, you know?
Yeah.
I've listened, I've went to a lot of things, that aren't games, and I sat there and said this would be a really cool games thing. In fact, I did an interview for a magazine where I talked to an artist and I told him, I saw a painting in a museum once and I thought about your game. And he thought that was really cool. Yeah, that was legit, so.
Excellent.
So
what's going on in Dragon Quest right now, huh?
Does anyone want to know F-Zero facts? Does anyone want any F-Zero info right now? Because
I'm
playing
the
F-Zero.
most appropriate place for F-Zero facts is a Dragon Quest stream, so please.
Absolutely. Okay, so in F-Zero, there's oh god. Okay, if F-Zero, there's something called a DT, which is when you when you press the drift button, it's so fast enough that you do an attack, but you can use it to actually do a very, very quick turn and do sharper turns easily while still retaining speed. And this is the technique that you do, and it's not easy to do on a GameCube controller. You want to do it on something that clicks hard. So that it's very easy, and it's a very, very important trick if you want to get faster times at F-Zero.
So basically, you want to get a fight joystick and do that.
No, maybe, no. I wouldn't say so, because it's really important to have the...
Oh, can I not hold anymore? Oh.
While the word fight stick is out there, I figured that I should mention that, the other day, I was messing around with X-Patter, because I have X-Patter, and I did manage to make Joylancer work on Fight Stick, and it's really good on Fight Stick.
That's fucking cool.
Now, if I could, make it work,
we're gonna use the fast forward function on the emulator.
I would so do that. Yeah, I was how have you not been using the speed function this whole time?
Because I want it to be holistic and pure and all that kind of bullshit.
These 4 deaths are very pure and slow.
Pure is used.
Look, Dragon Quest is a slow experience, and we're going to experience it slowly. Damn it! I am a formalist.
You're gonna experience this experience 20 years ago.
Wait, Zolani, how long have you been in games criticism? How long have you been paying attention to what people have been talking about in games criticism?
2 years, probably, almost 2 years.
Okay, what the fuck does formalism mean in regards to game criticism?
Okay, so. Alright. So let me try to my best to break this down. So formalism in other forms is a whole different thing. Games formalism tends to refer to a very specific groups of game studies academics, usually New York style game essay academics, who tend to have very, very rigid and traditional ideas of what a game is supposed to be and do. And they tend to sort of push a lot of really traditional game designy ideas about it. So it tends to happen with people like Ralph Kosser and other folks who posted articles trying to describe why Twine wasn't, Twine games weren't games and why Dysphoria wasn't. And it's a lot of bullshit, honestly. I just I can't stand those freaking ideas. I really can't. This is why at Chrono Proximity, Ralph Koster, he went up into he started his talk saying, I'm here representing the formalists, and then you see Lena on Twitter, and she says actual spit take, and it's because there's this whole thing where it's games formalism has a bad reputation for being just kind of regressive in terms of being the academic version of the people who say that oh, this isn't a game because there's nothing to win or something, or this isn't a game because there's no systems to game or some crap like that. And I don't regard it very highly much at all. That's what I'm saying.
It's kind of interesting. I think my games education, my game design class that I took last semester was kind of it was formalism being taught by a woman who was definitely not a formalist.
Okay. Well, the thing is that formalism means a lot of different stuff in other places. And in other places, formalism is just like a structure. It's just like stuff you put a name to. But in games, it's just like this whole freaking ideology. It's just this whole system that it's just like people trying to protect like their little like pumpkin patch of what they believe to be like a pure and ideal version of what a game is. And it's just awful. Like, I mean, it's not as bad as it used to be. Like there used to be actual like arguments about that stuff, and it's kind of died down for now. But I mean, I do remember this wasn't that long ago, but I do remember when like people were having arguments over this stuff, and people were like, "What is this? This is ridiculous." You have these like people who are saying crap like that, and these are academics. So I was like, whatever,
These are people with jobs at colleges, yeah.
Yeah, well, these are probably academic, but that's the thing, and I've argued this before, which is that a lot of game studies academic folks aren't really that different from like mainstream games writer people in terms of that they tend to hold like the same kind of regressive ideas of what a game is and what it does. Like they're not that different. And as I've been on podcasts with Lana, I do a podcast with Lana Polansky called Sufficiently Human, and we talked about on the podcast that formalist game studies academic folks and the games writer people at those big sites are both capitalist dispositions. They post those capitalist dispositions of a game is something to game and to get opportunity out of, like, it's that kind of crap.
Oh, I remember that.
It's just
that was that series of tweets about like system mastery as like kind of a capitalist viewpoint.
Yeah. So that was something we've talked about. Like everything I've done in terms of trying to like talk about smaller, weirder stuff has honestly also been a push against that kind of like formalist bullshit. Because you play stuff that gets out of mainstream and you know like okay like my ideas of what a game is definitely don't freaking hold up at all.
I guess to me
there's a bunch of stuff that just doesn't do that at all. Like
I've had conversations with people and it just kind of go like, I can't believe that like this discussion is still being had, but I mean it's just like, don't you learn early on when you're a kid that like, okay, there are shooters and there are RPGs, which basically means that there's no singular thing that a game can be, like duh.
Yeah, the thing is that most people don't really think of it like that much, both because there's something just weird about genres, especially in games, where it's just kind of like, even though you have all of these things that are completely different from each other, we're still forming some kind of ridiculous binary.
Oh, great! I got a spell that gives me a slightly wider circle of light.
It's just like people trying to keep their own little like little circle of like aspiration and.
Right. It's like binary within genres. Like there's so many genres that challenge what a game is, but they still have to meet a certain framework, or else they're not going to be approved. Which is like fucking ridiculous. Clearly,
yeah. It's just like middle finger to that shit. But it's also this idea that there is a really dangerous ideology to the people who want to just try to decide what is legitimate or not, and the stuff they decide is legitimate are themselves very, very capitalist, laborious systems to game, systems to manipulate people off of. Right? These are games that we play all the time. Stuff you have to kind of figure out in order to get your win state, stuff like that. So I mean, and to position those up and to put games that want to engage with things in a different way and just kind of shove them off, it's just like that's so off-putting to me. But I mean, it's not something. I feel like games formalism has kind of been pushed to the side by well-meaning folks, so it's not something that like I feel like is a danger.
God,
it's not something that bothers me too much, so I'm pretty okay with
Dungeon. How did people play this shit?
Oh yeah,
1998. That's how people play this shit.
1986.
Yeah, God, what am I saying? Okay, 1986.
1998 was the age of Star Fox.
Yeah, 1998 was when Metal Gear Solid came out. Final Fantasy VII came out a year before that. Check your privilege.
I suppose.
Dragging.
I have no fucking clue. Like, I mean, like the stream's talking about it. Like, I have no fucking clue where I'm going. I'm trying to get back to somewhere I was before I died and had to walk all the way back to the dungeon. And then,
Well, wait. There's a comment here I want to address. It says, I feel like probably if there was a formalist here, they say formalism is about trying to decide what makes a shooter and an RPG different to each other. Well, that's what formalism should be, which is just sitting there trying to put a name and to a system to a phenomena, which is this idea of I see there's something going on and I just want to try to understand what this is. That's what formalism should be, and that's what it is in other forms. It's just like I just feel like what we've seen for a little while has been this sort of culture that's been using these ideas of form to actually kind of push a certain kind of agenda.
Especially in games, because there's such a huge capitalist influence in games that so many people are just completely unaware of, and it's like that influence alone shapes like why we're at where we're at today, and why there's so much like anger and like distrust in like the games communities, because like people are starting to realize it's kind of bullshit.
What particularly is bullshit?
Like the fact that games in their current state are like inherently capitalist because of the way that they've been brought up in the last, particularly in the last few years, because like you can definitely say that when it was like in the 80s and the 90s it wasn't exactly like this, like, you know, which is why we have so many of these more experimental, like, you know, interesting games back then, and nowadays we have like brown shooters and RPGs and whatnot that are just kind of doing the same thing that everyone else is doing, but, you know, gotta make that paper.
Okay, we're seeing Dragon Quest.
Plus with like how like companies, like especially publishers nowadays, have just been like draining their funds to try and make like this ultimate game that doesn't actually like do anything different, but it's got like all the graphics and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, man, public, like, it's just like, it's so hard for me to keep like all that stuff is just kind of sort of dissolving a bit. It's just sort of really breaking apart at the seams, and I think everyone seems to notice it. And like this, and like the sort of traditional sort of like, I don't know, like the Big 8 or something. I don't know, like the sort of very, very incredibly large mega corporation publishing game companies. Like
I don't
it's
even
hard
know
for me
who
to
those would be like qualified
like,
to be anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
like so many of them just closed down recently too. So it's like, who's even on top?
Well, a lot of studios have closed down. I don't know if what publishers, although I think 505 Games closed down.
It's like I don't hear much about all these, like, I just don't hear about this kind of shit anymore. It just kind of feels like it's all falling apart finally.
You know what? Solid in the chat says AAA games with 4 A's, but that has been in a job into. I still remember when EA posted a job sort of announcement, and they said can be ready for the next era of quadruple A games. That is a real statement. I am not joking. So you know,
so what you're saying is we just keep on adding A's. If we just keep on adding A's to things, it'll get better, right?
It's just an upward hill. It's just
Dragon Quest.
Yeah, you know. So yeah, it's awful stuff. But I mean, you know what? Like I've always said, like that when it comes to studio closings and all those kinds of things, it's like that's like it's just because I know that usually when a studio closes, right? I've been drinking, so I'm gonna say shit. But like I know that I know that when
you gotta be kidding me! There's this. I went downstairs into a room that has no purpose.
Are you serious?
There's 2 rocks.
So wait, so there's okay.
You are lost, my dude.
Yeah.
This game is.
Do you want like a walkthrough, Austin?
You know
there's no shame.
If you could do me a favor, and the only reason I haven't done it yet is because I don't want to interrupt the freaking, stream. But like, if you could please find me a map. Literally, just go to VGMaps.com. Like, this is what
I'm just imagining like this scenario happening, but in the game, where just like this dude is just sitting around in this room. Can anybody get me a map, please?
Honest to God, like, as much as, like, conventional families are boring, I know, but, like, I think a really underexploited idea for a video game is, like, you've all seen The Incredibles, right?
Yeah.
Like, what if The Incredibles was a video game and, like, you had all this bullshit family squabble going on while you're trying to dungeon crawl? Like, I think that'd be a great video game. Like,
I think that'd be really interesting and weird. Like that'd be kind of neat.
I've actually been, like, thinking about something kind of like that, mostly because, like, I've been thinking a lot about, like, D&D lately, because, like, I hate playing D&D, but I love the idea of D&D.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much about D&D that I like, but actually playing it is like, oh my god, this is such a slog. Like, you have to read, like, 5 textbooks and shit like that just to get, like, a basic idea. And I'm just like, I didn't even read my textbooks in high school.
I don't read my textbooks now!
What the fuck is a textbook?
Let's see. Okay, so does anyone know like a good site to get a Dragon Quest map off? Is it like NES Maps or something?
It's a Let's Player I watch uses a site called VGMaps.com.
Oh yes, good VG Maps.
Yeah.
Let me go on VG maps. And which Dragon Quest? Okay, which Dragon Quest is this one? Dragon Quest 3 or Dragon
Just
Quest
the
1?
original. So
Dragon Quest
you're
1.
looking for either Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior. You know.
Okay.